Hello, everyone, and welcome to another AMP podcast. I'm Ben Dubose, news editor with the AMP publications team. AMP, of course, is a shorthand acronym for the Association for Materials Protection and Performance. And both Materials Performance, or MP, and Coatings Pro Magazine are member magazines within our publications group. This episode is part of a special series spotlighting the winners of the 2025 Materials Performance Corrosion Innovation of the Year Awards, which celebrate cutting-edge technologies that are driving progress in corrosion control and protective materials. Today, we're featuring one of this year's standout innovations in the materials design category, and that's the PTFE spacer wrap from Integrity Products and Supplies. They're based in Canada, and they were honored and awarded at this year's AMP annual conference in Nashville earlier this year for this innovation. Joining us on today's podcast to discuss it a bit more is Ahmad Rana, technical director at the company, and Graham Brigham, CEO and founder of the company. In this episode, we're going to be looking at the science behind the innovation, what this award means for the company, and how the technology is already making a difference out in the field. Graham and Ahmad, thank you for joining us. Let's start with introductions. Graham, since you're the CEO and founder, we can open with you. Tell us a little bit about your career and also Integrity Products as a company, since after all, you are the founder.
Thanks, Ben. Before founding Integrity Products, I spent 22 years in the heat and frost insulation trade. That gave me some hands-on experience and a deep understanding of some of the challenges faced in the field, particularly persistent issue of corrosion under insulation, known as CUI in the industry. Integrity Products was officially incorporated in 2014, but the journey really began a few years earlier. In 2011, I invented a product called the Integrity Plug. It's an inspection port that's designed for repeatable access for non-destructive testing. The company was born out of a drive to solve real-world problems in industrial insulation sector. My background in the trades give me a particular edge on developing solutions that work not only in theory, but in the field as well. From the first inspection report, we kind of expanded into moisture mitigation tools, started with a drain plug, and have continued to innovate ever since. And we're focused on improving safety, performance, and longevity of insulation systems. That's kind of a bit about it there.
Ahmad, same question to you as technical director. What's your career path to that position been like?
Yeah, that's a very, I would say, interesting question. My career started back in 2009 when I graduated from school and completing my undergrad in mechanical engineering. I started as a trainee maintenance engineer in one of the fertilizer plant. And then over the next 7 years, almost my career was more in maintenance and inspection roles at the chemical, petrochemical, and oil refining facilities. In 2016, I moved to Canada and started my research program and in material science. So that was basically inspection and degradation. I would say the corrosion, that was really the thing where I developed my passion while working in the industry. So I pursued my master's degree in that program. And just before joining Integrity in 2019, I finished my research work and ended up here as a technical director in research and development. And since then, we have been deeply engaged in innovating and validating the groundbreaking solutions for solving the real world corrosion under insulation problems and insulation-driven stress, corrosion cracking, and thermal losses. So together, me and Graham, and with the help of the other collaborators, obviously in the industry and the rest of the team, we have made tremendous, I would say, impact. We have amount of innovations and published some impactful work. So till now, we have published more than around 26 peer-reviewed publications addressing the issue of CUI. And I'm glad we are being recognized for these innovations on CUI by the prestigious organizations such as AMPP.
All right, let's get into the spacer wrap. And moving forward, we've got a list of topics and questions that we distributed amongst the three of us beforehand. And to be clear for our audience, this is an either-or proposition in that Ahmad and Graham may not both speak for every question. They're certainly welcome to if they want, but they've each got their own areas of expertise. So we've got our rundown of topics and questions that we want to cover. Some of them, it may be only one speaking. We'll leave the door open for back and forth. General idea, speak to whatever it is you're most comfortable speaking to. So with that in mind, let's start with the big news. What does it mean for Integrity Products and Supplies that you all are winners of the Corrosion Innovation of the Year Award, or one of 10 winners for this year's cycle? What was your reaction? And ultimately, what does that type of industry recognition in front of your peers mean for you all as a company?
Yeah, thank you, Ben. So yeah, that was really an incredible honor and feeling of accomplishment. Especially, I want to mention, I want to take this opportunity to mention that this was the second time, and obviously the back-to-back, I would say, recognition from AMP, because we won the Innovation Award back in 2023 for another technology we call that Insulation Ventilation System (IVS). That was recognized for AMP Innovation Award in 2023. And this year, we were again on the stage receiving the award for our PTFE Special Wrap. So that was really, I would say, a great honor and feeling of accomplishment and the feeling of joy on the integrity side. And also, like, not only the within the team integrity, we had this, I would say, like a really this joyful feelings and emotions. So we also have our friends, collaborators, all the end users who have supported us through this the entire journey when we were doing the field trials, lab tests, all those things we were doing. So they were also, I would say, they were even more excited. So there was, I would say, collectively there was a lot of excitement on this side of the border, because this is how it started to solve the real world a problem of insulation driven stress cracking. And the reason I mentioned about, this was really seen as an accomplishment on this side, because on the Canadian side, we experienced a lot of issues on insulation-driven stress corrosion cracking that was becoming a nightmare for the Alberta SAGD oil and gas industry. So with the PTFE Special Wrap turned out to be the solution that has basically put a pause to this issue. So that's why getting this solution, which came from the SAGD industry, SAGD sites, and getting it recognized globally, that was really a great feeling of accomplishment for us.
All right, I want to explore the development process. Historically speaking, what are some of the big challenges when it comes to traditional insulation systems? And at a high level, what were you all trying to improve as you started this development process?
Perfect. Yeah, Ben, that's a great question, because like when we talk about the challenges faced by insulation systems, so we can broadly classify them as an external challenges and internal challenges. External challenges means what can happen on the outside of insulation, such as moisture infiltration, via condensation, or it can happen with direct intrusion. So these are some external challenges that can happen because of the nature of the insulation material, the nature of the design of insulation system. So these are some external challenges. And when it comes to the internal challenges of insulation, so what is happening under the insulation and over the metal surface? So those challenges are even bigger and more complex, because those are driven by the design of insulation system, the chemistry of the environment, and temperature, and the other lots of other variables. So the key goal while we were developing the PTFE Special Wrap was to address this issue, realizing that there is an inevitable moisture infiltration, or the nature will do its job and will cause the moisture to infiltrate into the system. So that was the mindset we had, like while facing the reality, because the moisture will eventually build up in the system. So the motivation behind the development of PTFE Special Wrap was to stop the moisture from coming in contact with the pipe and stop any sort of, I would say, unfavorable chemistry under the insulation to affect the integrity of the pipe. And also, we have seen some challenges with the protective coatings or surface treatments that are generally applied under the insulation. So those types of the surface protection and the protective coatings may even get aged, get deteriorated because of the high time of wetness they get exposed to, and also the direct contact with insulation that creates oxygen concentration cells. So these are the real challenges we had with the like external or internal challenges. We classify them for the insulation system. So PTFE Special Wrap, I would say, with this innovation, we were trying to stop the moisture from dwelling on the pipe, reduce the time of wetness, and also create the uniform air gap. Because if you look at the construction of PTFE Special Wrap, it has a built-in integral standoffs. So those standoffs help to create an uniform or unified air level at the insulation metal interface that rules out the possibility of oxygen concentration cells. So we were really looking into fighting against the real drivers for corrosion that can happen under at the pipe surface. So that these were all the real consideration that we just were aiming while developing the PTFE spacer wraps. So my apologies, I'm sounding a little more technical, but these are some of the real challenges that we were really aiming for while developing this innovation.
This September 8th through the 10th, all roads lead to Odessa, Texas for the AMPP Central Conference, where the future of corrosion and coatings comes to life. From AI-driven pipeline integrity and advanced cathodic protection monitoring to cutting-edge AC interference strategies, this is where innovation meets infrastructure. Dive into groundbreaking technical sessions tailored to the challenges of the Central U.S. and the Permian Basin. Advanced registration is now open. Secure your spot today and save. Register now at ampp.org/central-conference.
Let's talk about the timeline of it. What was that like? How long was this in development? And where are we at now in 2025 as far as commercialization of this as a product? Just take us through from a timeline perspective, how we got from the origins to the point that we're at right now.
Yeah, we began developing the PTFE spacer wrap in early 2020. We started with some field trials with one of the larger acid owners here in Canada. The product was installed under the insulation and then monitored for a period of roughly around 8 months. Even in those early stages, we had some strong confidence that PTFE might be the right material, as it's well known for its it's well known for its exceptional resistance to high temperatures and harsh chemical environments. So right out of the gate, we found that was going to be one of the materials that we were working with. Following that successful field validation, we refined the design and moved into full production. Today, the PTFE spacer wrap's fully commercialized and is specified with many of the largest acid owners here in Canada. And we're noticing that it's starting to appear on specifications in the US and the global market as well.
So what is it that today in 2025 and looking ahead to future years makes this tool unique relative to anything else that's on the market? What is the unique value proposition with the PTFE spacer wrap?
So speaking about the PTFE spacer wrap, so it combines multiple, I would say basically the features. So the first thing that PTFE spacer wrap is offering is a true barrier. So since it's made from the PTFE, which is Teflon, so that is a highly impermeable material, and that's also inert to any sort of aggressive chemical environment. So these two things make them the PTFE as a great choice when it comes to exposure to the moisture. So it doesn't allow the moisture to penetrate through PTFE and affect the pipe. So that's a true barrier. And also that's being more than a moisture barrier, it's considered as a leachate barrier. So that's a key motivation behind the owner users to deploy that, because they are concerned about any sort of leaching ions such as chlorides or any sort of alkaline ions from badly affecting the pipe. So they use it as a barrier. And also, as I mentioned earlier, and then a few minutes ago about the design, if we look at the construction of this PTFE spacer wrap, it has integrally built standoffs. So those standoffs provide a unified air gap at insulation metal interface. So that unified air gap rules out the possibility of any oxygen concentration cells. Historically, if we see the CUI damage in the real life situation, so this is mainly found as a pitting or localized corrosion. So the key reason for this sort of, I would say, morphology of the CUI is from oxygen concentration cells, because they cause the pitting. So the PTFE spacer wrap, by the virtue of standoff, rules out, I would say, the key precursor to the pitting, that is oxygen concentration cells. That's another feature provided by PTFE. And also, the standoffs reduces the heat transfer from the pipe to the insulation. Traditionally, any sort of traditionally when the insulations are held in contact with the pipe, so normally they have a conduction of the heat from the pipe to the insulation, and that conduction becomes exponential when the insulation becomes soaking wet. So since PTFE spacer wrap is breaking the contact of either the insulation is dry or in the wet condition, doesn't matter. It's avoiding that direct contact between the pipe and insulation. So it's reducing the heat transfer that might otherwise get exponentially higher. And also, as I mentioned that, since it acts as a moisture barrier, so it reduces the time of wetness. So which is one of the leading cause of the coatings damage under thermal insulation. So this, like in one, I would say technology or solution, we are checking the boxes of stress corrosion cracking, corrosion under insulation, and thermal losses. So that's a unique thing about the PTFE spacer wrap.
What have you heard from early users of the product? What type of feedback have you gotten from the field?
Yeah, the field response has been overwhelmingly positive. The installers constantly highlight how easy it is to install. Perhaps the most compelling feedback that has came from the long-term users is since the initial deployment of our PTFE back in early 2020, the asset owners that have adopted the PTFE spacer wrap have reported 0 instances of stress corrosion cracking on those insulated systems that they have. That kind of sustained performance on high-risk environments and over the multiple years speaks volumes about the product's effectiveness. We've also seen major EPC firms begin to incorporate it in their insulation system specifications on critical areas, further validating its value in the field.
So, when you're working with these types of end users and you're answering any questions or concerns that they might have, troubleshooting is constant. I'm sure at a bare minimum, users are trying to find out the latest tips and tricks for how to best utilize the tool. What are the ways that you all collaborate and work with those end users to make sure that the spacer wrap is being used to its fullest potential?
Yeah. So Ben, as you mentioned earlier, so during the field trial, while we were doing, so there is a lot of, I would say, involvement from the end user side. So the one of the motivation behind development of the PTFE spacer wrap was to address the issue of insulation driven stress cracking. So that was really a nightmare for SAGD industry. Also, since all like most of the innovations that we have worked on are driven by the end user needs, so those are more like we call it R&D on demand. So so those solutions were actually came for to solve the real world problem. So we were inherently brought closer to the end user while we were developing these solutions, like so PTFE spacer wrap and other technologies that we have developed. So we were brought closer to well, we were closely collaborating with that, going to the sites, collecting the data, doing the joint walkthroughs, field surveys. So we developed like a great, I would say, relationship with the end user because we were on a common tool to solve the problem. And also during the development of this one, we have been very open and transparent about the data that we have collected because we have gone through a tremendous amount of the lab testing for, I would say, evaluating the merits of the PTFE spacer wrap and all the findings and the data that we collected. We published in the peer-reviewed journals, research papers, and also in some conference proceedings. So since we were quite open and transparent in reporting the data, so we were, I would say, got the opportunity to work very close to the end user and even close to the regulators. So we were, like I would say, that gave us a tremendous amount of the confidence because we have, I would say, we had opportunity to put our testing results through a lot of scrutiny. So, and also speaking about the support, like as Graham pointed out that he came from a background of the field installation. So his inherent knowledge of the insulation install, that was really a blessing for us to give really, I would say, communicate in the same language to the field installers about the fine details about the installation of this product. So we've got the opportunity to check all the boxes, whether it came from the pilot testing, field trials, or even from the installation standpoint. On all these were all the common grounds when we were collaborating with the end users.
We've talked about a lot of the strengths of the system already. Are there any additional benefits that we haven't covered in the first 20 or so minutes of this conversation that you think are worth highlighting to this audience?
So the key reason why we developed the PTFE spacer wrap was mitigation, was, I would say, the protection thing. When we say the assets, we want the protection performance. The key purpose of the PTFE spacer wrap was a protection against CUI, protection against insulation-driven stress corrosion cracking. And then now we have another advantage of PTFE spacer wrap is the performance side that helps to let thermally insulated systems operate in an efficient manner. So it helps to improve their thermal efficiency. So traditionally, once the insulations are in contact with the pipe, they have the conduction, a lot of conduction of the heat happening from the pipe to the insulation, and that conduction means thermal losses. And with the PTFE spacer wrap, since we are creating a standoff And the standoff is made of an insulative material, which is Teflon, that greatly, enormously reduces the heat transfer, and that helps to keep the thermally insulated systems in a more efficient manner.
Yeah, that supports the energy conservation and contributes to like more stable process temperatures and long-term cost savings, probably, right?
Exactly, and also that helps to reduce what we call a greenhouse gas emissions and the carbon footprints. So that's a eventual goal of the industry is to move towards more cleaner, I would say, energy production and that sort of thing. So PTFE is well aligned to address those future needs.
Yeah, and that leads perfectly into my last question, which is how the product and how the brand is likely to evolve over the next few years. As far as the future, are there any new applications that you all are exploring for the spacer wrap? Are there any market trends that you're trying to tie this into? Just speak to what the evolution and growth of the spacer wrap is likely to look like over the coming months and years.
Yeah, so we are, definitely, we are looking to expand into the cold applications because there are many, I would say, the types of the applications in the cold environments where the temperatures is supposed to cycle close to the ambient temperature. And there have been significant CUI issues being reported in the cryogenic settings. So we look forward to trial this one and expand the merits of PTFE in those applications, particularly.
Good stuff. Guys, thank you so much for the time. Before we close up shop on this podcast, for any listener that might want to learn more about the PTFE spacer wrap or Integrity Products and Supplies as a company, what are the best ways that they can get in touch with you all and learn more about your products and services? I'm guessing it's the website and social media, but feel free to plug whatever you would like to plug before we wrap up.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Yeah, you guys can visit us at integrity-products.com, or also we're very active on LinkedIn, or we try to be. To find us on LinkedIn, just search Integrity Products and Supplies. You should be able to find us there. Lots of technical insights, case studies from around the globe. Any specific questions you want to explore, you can reach out to us at sales@integrity-products.com, and we'd love to hear from you.
Excellent. Gentlemen, thank you so much for the time. All right, and with that, we will bring this episode to a close. On behalf of AMP, I'm Ben Dubose, and if you want more resources from AMP or our publications within the association, just visit amp.org, ampp.org, coatingsformag.com, or materialsperformance.com. Thanks as always for listening, and please come back soon for more new AMP podcasts.